Here we are recording the text effect assignment for computer art, and what we're going to do here is use the type mask tool, which is hiding beneath the type tool in Photoshop Elements, and that is what we're going to mainly use to kind of fill a text with an image. So first what we're going to need is two images, one for a background and one to fill in your text, and my text will fit nicely right here. So I already have this image pulled off of the web. That image is an image of a door because my quote is going to be by a member of the band called The Doors. So this image, I just did a quick Google search for an image of some blue sky so that I can kind of fill text with it here. What I'll go ahead and do is click and drag a text box. Actually, before I do this, okay, so you'll notice the screen goes red when we do the text mask. What I need to do is actually, I need to add a new layer, and I need to just paste the image that I just copied. Okay. What we'll then do is turn down the opacity of that layer a bit so we can see the image behind it through it. Now we're going to decide which part of this image we really want to use with our text mask. Okay. So I'm going to create a text box that kind of maybe overlaps a little bit of this green here, so I might be able to get some of that edge. Might make a nice effect. Okay, again, the screen goes red. In this mode, we can still use all our type options like creating warp text. We could change the fonts and add all the other options you would normally add with text. There are things known, and there are things unknown. In between are the doors is the quote that I was going to put in, made by the keyboardist of the band, The Doors, classic rock band. So as I said, make sure you do not click outside this window. That will just start your mask, and then you'll need to kind of start over with typing. So right now, if we want to make anything happen, like as far as warps go, we can click on the warp text option, and I can do things like make arcs or any other of these shapes going on here. Maybe, I'm not sure that I thought I would do any of these, but this one actually is pretty subtle, and I might be able to use it. So yeah, maybe I'll go with this, the bulge. And so let's just go ahead and say okay. My text will now have been changed, and if I go ahead and click outside of this space or choose my selection arrow, now we will have a selection that is the shape of your text that you just typed. So now what I want to do is just copy. I'm going to copy or cut part of this layer. I could then, I can now get rid of my selection. I will come over to this layer and I will paste. Okay, so that just pastes that part that I just selected there. I want to move this up because I noticed I did not get any of the green there, so I want this line to go up just a little bit. I could shrink this text just a tad, and then that probably works a little bit better. Okay, cool. So other things we might want to do, we could add some beveled edges. You notice the white against the white gets a little hard to see, so if I double click on, oops, wrong layer. If I double click on some of these bevel options, and those are under the layer styles, I believe, button in your effects palette. If you go to layer styles, over here you should see bevels, you get some drop shadows and other things that could really help your text stand out. So here are some drop shadows, different types of drop shadows. Some of them are a little bit on the, on the cheesy side, and some are really effective. But you just kind of have to go through and see. I like that. It's a short drop shadow. Then you have some other things you can add, different effects, patterns, and things like that, and different effects. Some of them, like I said, they get really cheesy. You got some chrome effects, but that takes out my image. Not somewhere I really want to go, but maybe for another time. I was thinking about adding a bevel maybe too. A beveled edge might make this pop just a little bit more, stand out. be a little easier to read, but if it's too much, you don't want to go too far. I also thought it might be nice to make this, if there was a way I could make it look as it was really cut out. I think that I like that little bevel going on there. Alright, so only other thing I need to make sure that I do is I also give credits to the author of this book, or of this quote rather. So I'm going to turn back on this image, and I'm going to make sure that my selection this time stays down here in the green area so that I can fit this in. Ray Manzarek is the name of the author of my quote. And so I will put a hyphen right before this, and once I click out to my selection tool, now I'm going to Command C and copy. I'll turn down the visibility or turn off the visibility on this layer. I no longer need my selection, and now I can paste. And so, actually looking at this now, it looks a bit gray. So I think actually I may have been on the incorrect layer when I copied this. So if I'm on this layer, now I want to go Windows C and now turn off this visibility, unselect, and I can paste this part of the image right down here. And that works pretty well. Okay. So again, maybe some bevels or drop shadows. You can add glows. Glows also can maybe help your image stand out. Some of them are more like borders though. Again, if you get these styles, make sure that you know you have options, okay? So if you double click on this FX button that shows up when you apply a style, you can always turn down these effects a little bit. So see, I can turn down the opacity of this glow a little bit. I can turn up the size if I want it to space out a little bit more. So these are some different things that I can do to make sure that this looks good. I can also add options. So here from this window I can add the drop shadow, or I could add the bevel effect to this. But I actually like it just with the shadow, I think. So I'll say OK. Again, if I go back to this layer, double click the other one, the effects, you know, the bevel might have been a bit too much. I think I'm going to take the bevel out. So I'll take the bevel out, say OK, and here we have a final kind of image that we're looking at with a quote with the author and using the type mask tool. Also some different effects from our effects palette and layer styles. Alright, so I wish you lots of luck and fun while creating your own text effect